All right, baseball buccaneers, grab your peanuts and your Cracker Jack, and let's batten down the hatches. It's time to set sail on the 7 seas of the greatest game ever invented. So, let's walk the plank together. Let's fire up the cannons and hoist the Jolly Rogers. Time for another edition of Ballpark Nation.
The Ballpark, a place where legends are born, where pitchers throw heat and hitters drop bombs. The home of mud hens, sod poodles, chihuahuas, flying bison, and SeaWolves. This is Ballpark Nation, your home for baseball from sea to shining sea. And now your hosts. He couldn't crack the starting lineup of his JV high school baseball team, and she's never met a ballpark wiener she didn't like. Here are Jim Christopher and Alyssia RIVERA.
Welcome back to episode 4. This one's a special one because we're doing the Erie SeaWolves and the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I thought we should talk like pirates.
Hey, Jim, what's a pirate's favorite letter?
Arg!
You think it's the R, but it's the C.
Ballpark Nation presents Chasing Grand Slams, our favorite ballparks from across the country and around the world.
Even the most pedestrian of Jimmy Buffett fans can find a pirate if they look hard enough off the coast of Florida. But what if I told you about some baseball buccaneers that are roaming the high seas, well, high seas of the Great Lakes? That's what I'm talking about, the Erie SeaWolves, the AA affiliate of the Detroit Tigers. Now, the SeaWolves make port at beautiful UPMC Park, and beautiful is the perfect word for it. Emerald green grass cast against a blue sky, it's a perfect baseball heaven. It epitomizes the best of what makes a great minor league ballpark. The seating is close, intimate, every single spot feels like it's a part of the action. UPMC Park has seating for every taste. If you're like me, you want to be behind home plate, right on top of the action. But even if you're up in the upper deck or hanging out in one of the bars down the side, you've got a great view of baseball and all the fun being had both on and off the field and in and between innings. And the staff from top to bottom make sure there is fun to be had. It takes an entire fleet of SeaWolves to make a game day happen at UPMC Park, and they take a real all-hands-on-deck approach to making game day happen. Whether it's being greeted by a friendly face as you wait to come inside the gate, to one of the best mascots in baseball, SeaWolf, hanging out, right down to one of the most talented dancers you'll find at the minor league baseball level, the SeaWolves pride themselves on making sure that your entertainment dollar, if it's spent here, is a dollar well spent. There's plenty of stuff to do before the ball game even starts, with inflatable games like basketball, and who doesn't love a jump? Plenty of good food to be had, and if you're an adult, some of that liquid relaxation we all need from time to time. Good merch is the lifeblood of any minor league baseball team, and it's hard to find a team with as wide a variety of quality merch as the SeaWolves have. Great hats, great t-shirts for both their normal and alternate brands. There really is something for every style and something for every taste. One of the things the SeaWolves do so much better than so many other teams, and one of the things that's essential for a minor league baseball team to do well, is alternate looks and theme nights. As you can tell from my own collection, they really do know how to put a theme night together. The Star Wars jerseys alone are worth the cost of admission. The promotional calendar for 2026 looks to be one of their best yet. They'll be bringing back the Moon Mammoths, which was a big hit last year. The Moon Mammoths were the brainchild of John Oliver. You see, John Oliver loves him some minor league baseball, and last year he had a competition. A team could submit to allow his staff to rebrand the team, understanding that they had to go with whatever brand the John Oliver squad put together. Being from Austin, Texas, I've seen John Oliver do this before. He did it famously with one of our plumbing companies here in town. So I was really curious as to what he was going to do with a minor league baseball team, and I was not disappointed when they unveiled the Moon Mammoths. The moon mammoth is a reference to the large mammoth skeleton found in the early 90s. John Oliver and his team lovingly embraced minor league baseball tradition when they unveiled the look for this amazing mascot. John made it down to the ball game for the unveiling, from throwing out first pitches and selling snacks and just hanging out with the mascot. It was an epic event for minor league baseball, and it's very exciting to know that the moon mammoths will be landing again in Erie in 2026. Now, you know me. I'm a dog guy. In fact, I will use this as an opportunity to share pictures with my amazing German Shepherd, Orbit. But that doesn't mean I wasn't at all tickled when I saw that the Erie SeaWolves would be temporarily rebranding as the flagship City Kitties in honor of their parent club, the Detroit Tigers. I immediately ordered hats, shirts, and hoodies. The Erie SeaWolves really are the standard bearer for how a team can effectively use its brand while also having some fun with other identities and other looks. Perhaps the thing Erie does best is serve as an ambassador to help grow the future of baseball. They realize that fan interaction, starting young, is what keeps people interested in this game, and you see that all over the place. From little leaguers on the field giving high fives as the team is announced, to little kids running the bases. You see a lot of humanity, and you see the future of baseball right there. I feel my connection to baseball when I'm in Erie in a lot of ways. There's so much to do, so many amazing people putting on this show, but in so many ways, it's the simple things that remind you of why baseball's special. Like an older brother helping a little sister make her way around the bases for the first time. Putting on the show really is a labor of love. It's a love of baseball, it's a love of country, and getting to visit communities like Erie is what makes it all worth it. I mean, we're also going to see someone sink a putt with the help of a large wolf on top of a dugout. Where else can a grown man throw a strike and get his photo taken with that same wolf? I tried it once at the Houston Zoo and it did not go well. These are the kind of surreal things that don't happen anywhere else, but they get to happen at a ballpark. And did I mention some of the excellent dancing? UPMC Park will always be right up there for one of my all-time favorite baseball experiences. It isn't just that the field is beautiful, and it is. It isn't just that the ballpark is comfortable and friendly, which it is. But it's one of the standout experiences in all of baseball because the people that are putting the event on, the people that are running the game, they love baseball as much as I do. They love baseball as much as you do, and that shows.
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
Ballpark Nation presents Who's on First? We talk to the people behind the greatest game ever invented.
All right, so we are excited to keep going on Ballpark Nation. It's our Who's on First segment, and we're talking to Greg Coleman, the head pirate himself for your Erie SeaWolves. Greg, I know we are getting ready for the season to start. How's everything going up in Erie?
It's going all right. Sorry, couldn't resist.
It's okay. It's our Talk Like a Pirate episode anyway, so we're good.
Yeah, no, everything's going all right in Erie. The snow is melted off. I can see some grass on the field, and hey, like that means baseball's not far behind. So, yeah, pretty pumped. Last year was kind of a crazy year for us, and I think we're excited to see how we top it in 2026.
Yeah, it always seems like you guys are a brand that does top yourself every year. So I'm curious as the time of this recording, we're about a month from opening day. So where are you guys in the season, like getting everything ready to roll out for 2026?
Somewhere between planned and panicked.
Okay.
No, it's funny. You get to the end of the year, or sorry, get to the end of the off season, and you plan for months and months and months, and yet it is like trying to drink out of a fire hose. Opening day is coming, and you've got 69 home days. They don't all require your attention right off the bat, but you do have to keep everything on track. And so for us, April 3rd, it's the opener, and we just need to make sure that all of our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed.
Cross the T's and dot the lowercase j's.
We've got some things that change over in off season. You might have some different people taking on new roles, and you got to make sure they're up to speed. You've got new partners. You need to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do to uphold our end of the bargain, and we need to make sure the fans are excited and ready to go.
Talk to me a little bit about that community aspect of it, because I know it's a two-way street with you guys. Like, one, you have to be reaching out to the community to get them into the ballpark, but also you guys are really great partners in the community as far as working with Erie. So how much of that really is getting laid out for not just promotions getting to the ballpark, which we talk about, but even the things you guys are doing as part of that community member, both now and into the season?
Well, I think I would start with our core philosophy. And we think if we're good for the community or good to the community will be good to us. So I think we try to be very giving, and we just hope there's a spirit of reciprocity when it comes time for us to have a big game or an exciting promotion. We try to be involved in many different ways. We've got a nonprofit organization under our organization called the SeaWolves Community Fund, 501c3. We run scholarships through there. We give back to things that are in the youth baseball and softball space, educational programs, health and wellness initiatives. That's sort of all the sweet spot of the organization. And, we just generally feel like if we're, being good community stewards and being good representatives for baseball, that it's good for everybody. So we're proud to represent Erie, Pennsylvania. And we love that we've been able to serve this community for now going on 31 years.
It's funny. So we were out twice last season. We were out, I think, a week after y'all had been picked for the Moon Mammoths for John Oliver. And then we had a representative out to cover the thing. But you and I haven't actually spoke where you could actually talk about how it all went down from your perspective. So if you don't mind taking us through from when you found out you guys had been picked, which I remember being very excited and also worried because I love your brand so much. I was like, oh, I don't know. This could be. And some backstory, Greg. I'm in Austin, Texas. We had seen John Oliver do this with the Radiant Air Conditioning Company already. So we had an idea of what John was capable of. So take us from you found out to, okay, you've seen the Moon Mammoth thing, and it's frankly, pardon my French, but kind of badass.
Yeah, it was a wild experience. So I think I'll take it back to the very start. I think it was May 4th. They ran a show about minor league baseball, and I'm a career minor league baseball guy. To see our industry showcase was phenomenal, and you hear him say such glowing things and talk about the teams that we know and love and the people that we know and love. So it was amazing. But when they did the open call and said, "Hey, we're interested in rebranding the team," like, it wasn't even a hesitation on my part. It was like, "Oh yeah, we're in, of course." And I think with what they said on air, I was of the mindset that it was going to be a temporary rebrand and not a permanent. But at the same time, we didn't know definitively. But I think in putting in our team, I felt safe. One, because I think I understood the John Oliver program and his support team. And I really feel like as an organization, they tend to punch up, not punch down. In minor league baseball, punching down.
Yeah.
So I felt safe. And the one thing that they had said on air was, look, you just have to sign a contract and agree to do this. So when the opportunity popped up, I said, well, look, I still have to sign the contract. We still have to agree to do this. So even if they pick us, what's the risk? So fast forward 2 weeks. I just come back from Toronto, Canada. We saw the Tigers and Blue Jays play a couple games. Unpacking from that trip, I get a text message with a screen capture saying, "Hey, is this real?" And it was a screen capture of John announcing SeaWolves as the team on air. Prior to that, I had no phone call, no email, no interaction. I sent an email. I thought it was a really good email, and there's another story tied to that I can tell in a second. I thought it was a really good email. I felt confident in it. But until I got that screenshot, we had no idea. And then things really started to change. I'll tell you real quick, the side note to that is I was on my couch when that original program aired and talked to my daughter, and I said, "Hey, look, I can write an email that's good enough to get us picked." And she's like, "Yeah, like sure, Dad, whatever." I'm like, "All right, well, all right, okay."
She needs daughters.
Yeah, she had gone up to Toronto with us. She was asleep when I got this text message. So I went upstairs, woke her up, and said, "Hey, you got to come downstairs. Your mom and I need to share something with you." And who knows what's going through my teenage daughter's head, right? Like, who died? Mom and dad are, like, yeah. But then I showed it to her and like jaw wide open, like just earned me all the dad street cred in the world, which I just lost by saying dad street cred. But
It's okay.
but it was a phenomenal feeling. So anyways, that was the 18th. Then we started to have a couple of conversations about like, what does this entail? Is this permanent? Is this temporary? And then start to talk with some folks both between last week tonight and also Major League Baseball. 'Cause Major League Baseball, look, they know the trademarking process, they know the licensing process better than anybody, and they needed to make sure that the folks at the TV show that they understood what was involved. Once the general concept got Major League Baseball's stamp of approval, then it was off to the races creatively, and it, the whole pitch of this whole thing was we would not have a say in our name, our logo. We just would have to take what they gave us and like it, which was true, except for one point along the way, which was they showed us the logo and they just wanted to make sure they weren't making a fatal mistake. They're like, and there was something that living in this community we knew about that they didn't know.
Right.
They wanted the opportunity to pull the ripcord on the parachute and kind of get out of it still at that point. But when they showed it to us, the immediate reaction was like, "Cool, that's good. that's really good." And it was a deep cut. I've lived here for 15 years. I had people on my staff that grew up here in the community. One or two people who lived kind of in the general area of where the mammoth remains were found knew about it, but most of the staff did not. So it was a real deep cut, which made it even better. And then when they told us that they had already reached out and made contact with George Moon, the person who found the mammoth remains, we're like, giddy up. Like, that's even better. So from there, we just had to execute. And there's normally this process of creating a brand, whether it's temporary or permanent, is, talking about like a 14 to 16 month process.
Right.
And from the outset, they're like, "Hey, we'd really like to do this from a production standpoint in July," which, from the time they announced us on air until we actually had to have product in hand and have an event was 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
which is just crazy. But at the same time, like, we were up for the challenge. So when I put my hand up and said, "Let's do this," I knew that we were going to be doing something this season. So the difficult part at that point was we wanted to include and engage people on our staff that we felt needed to know because they had a job to do, but also really wanted to keep a very, very tight circle because we wanted this to not get out.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very proud that between us, Major League Baseball, our suppliers last week tonight, we kept it quiet. Now, we only had to keep it quiet to the end of June when the show aired, but still, keeping that quiet for, a month, it's not an easy thing to do. And there were people on my staff when the show aired, probably about 60% of my staff didn't know the name, hadn't seen the logo. They were just as surprised as anybody else was. They were as surprised as I was seeing my name on TV. So we kept it very, very close on a need to know basis. And, I think we did it well. I think I was very, very pleased with the effort our team put together. The folks at last week tonight were unbelievable. Just great to work with. I think they had a great idea and they knew what they wanted to do. We're the experts in minor league baseball. So they sort of said, "Hey, here's the general concept. Okay, now what do we do?" So I think if I have one regret from the whole thing, I think that maybe my staff didn't quite get as much credit as they deserved for bringing a lot of ideas and the concepts to the table. I think even in our industry, it was like, well, you guys basically won the lottery, so congratulations, and you didn't earn that. And
It was.
yeah. See, I would say that okay, we got maybe we were certainly more fortunate than some other folks at my notes. Which, by the way, I watched the show regularly, so I could speak in the voice that I needed to speak in. So I don't think that's luck either. Sure, I do think that that as we went through this whole entire thing, our staff contributed a lot to the experience and to the concepts and the things that made it successful. And but at the same time, I take nothing away from the folks at Last Week Tonight. They did a phenomenal job. They amplified the ideas that we had and took it to another level. The folks at Major League Baseball really pushed to get things on a timeline that we never could have done on our own. We're sitting there 2 days before the event, and I don't know if I'm going to have a Moon Mammoth fitted hat. Like it's caught at customs, and then all of a sudden the next day I got the whole supply. I got 1,400 hats show up in my lobby the day before the event, and there's no way in the world I could have done that. I don't have that type of juice. I might be a big fish in Erie, Pennsylvania, but going to the U.S. government is taking my call for that. So it was wonderful.
I think the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from it was I was worried because I didn't want, and I'm a big watcher of Oliver too, and I should have known again from the Radiant Energy deal, but I didn't want it to be a joke. And I'm glad that it wasn't a joke because a lot of us dedicate big chunks of our lives and money to this. And I think that was my biggest takeaway was he wanted to spread the love of this. And I think he did a great job doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really think that, yeah, I guess I knew from the start what I thought the sentiment was. Again, by the way, if you go back and watch previous programs, you talking about the Radiant Energy and some of the other things, like this is a little bit of a rinse and repeat program. It happened to be minor league baseball this time, but they've taken this type of concept and done it in different seasons. And so I felt pretty confident seeing what they had done, that, most of what they had done is pretty harmless fun. They wanted to do something that was going to be a plus, a positive.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it was more than a positive. I mean, for us, I don't know that I should share specifics, but I will tell you that from a reporting standpoint, last year we were a top 10 team in minor league baseball licensed sales. And I will tell you, we've never cracked the top 25 because Erie, Pennsylvania, I love it. I've raised my family here. Erie is one of the smallest markets in affiliated minor league baseball.
Really?
So to be a top 10 team in licensed sales is punching way above your weight. And while I think we've done some great things to grow our licensed merchandise over the years, there's just not much you can do to replicate having, 600, 700,000 people come through your ballpark. I don't have that. I don't have it like Indianapolis or Sacramento might have it, or Lehigh Valley, AAA markets like that. But this provided me with an audience and our team with an audience where we could reach folks and then continue to reach folks. And that's powerful.
Well, when I found out that I was a line item on your sales Excel spreadsheet by your amazing head of merchandising, I now feel even more important that I'm a line item on your. Speaking of which, I've got the package in my car. Last thing I want to talk about real quick before some fun stuff is a lot of times you see, and I think smartly, a lot of minor league teams kind of steer away from parent club stuff. However, you guys are going to have a little fun with it with the Flagship City Kitties. And I'm curious as to where that came from and why kind of celebrate that connection now when maybe it hasn't been something done. A lot of minor league teams don't do it at all, and y'all haven't done it very often.
Yeah, I would say I'd even go further in the opposite direction. We almost, with our identity, try to be mistaken as a Pirates affiliate. Now, when I say that, I say it jokingly, but our color palette is red and black. We bring gold into it. Now, when we released our current logo set, we didn't use the gold colors for 5 years. We really did try to separate ourselves from the Pirates in that respect. But going back to 1995, we were a Pirates affiliate. We were a different classification of baseball. That is our roots. SeaWolves is slang for Pirates. And so that was kind of who we are. And so we didn't really do much to kind of make a big deal about our major league affiliate because they're 4.5 hours away. The Pirates have a big following in our area. They're 2 hours away. And so I think the folks that wanted to know knew, and the folks that didn't know enjoyed the colors, or, it's a very Western Pennsylvania color palette. But the thing with us is we're always looking down the road. What's coming next? What's the anniversary? What's the thing we want to celebrate? And so this year for us is the 25th anniversary of our affiliation with the Detroit Tigers. And it seemed like a really natural time to roll out an identity that's tied to that. This whole identity that we rolled out, the Flagship City Kitties, existed before John Oliver ever went on air Like you had everything done and ready to go because that's how long it takes. We didn't have necessarily the merchandise in hand, but we had the logos were done, the uniforms were done, the hats were sampled. Like we knew we were doing this in 2026. And then Moon Mammoths happened, and all of a sudden now we've got two different things. And collectively, or not collectively, but separately, Moon Mammoths is our number one seller of all time, and Kitties is quickly becoming number two.
Okay.
So to have this kind of dual success, one on the heels of the other, is phenomenal. But I think we wanted to pay tribute to those 25 years. We've had a lot of great players come through, whether it's Justin Verlander or Curtis Granderson, to more recently Tarek Skubal and Riley Green, and then the next, we're hoping guys like Kevin McGonigal, Max Clark get up there soon. But we've been very fortunate to have a lot of great talent. We've made our championship series the last 50 years. We came really close last year to making it a three-peat. It didn't happen, but came close. But we're very proud of that relationship. The Tigers have done some great things, and with the anniversary, it just seemed right to celebrate it. But we're always looking a couple years down the road to say what's coming next. Last year was our 30th anniversary. That was a big deal for us until the Moon Mammoths happened. And so we'll see how things go. But I think the Kitties, obviously it's very fun. It's very playful. We're the little tigers, and I realize, technically speaking, like a little tiger's a tiger cub. I don't think that Major League Baseball licensing would want us to put the word cub in our name.
Probably not.
But I think with this, it allows us to kind of take something local, which is Flagship City. Flagship refers back to a warship from the War of 1812 that a replica is now based in Erie. If you go around Erie and you look at shop names and, there's a market downtown, there's the word flagship is all over the place. So Flagship City has kind of become our nickname. So for us to kind of play into that, and it's a fun word to say. It's a fun phrase to say. And so we kind of were able to kind of tap into the Tigers brand. It was very important that the Tigers agree to this, because if the Tigers, Tigers were on board with us kind of piggybacking on their brand, this wouldn't exist. But I think our folks did a real great job. I do want to give a shout out to Dan Simon. Dan's done a lot of work for us over the years. Me personally, I've been working with him all the way back to my Modesto A's days back in the early 2000s. He always delivers, and proud to call him a friend. But a lot of the things I've done in this industry, I probably get more credit than I deserve because I work with Dan, and very, very happy that we continue to collaborate for a quarter of a century.
And you can catch Dan actually every week on the Baseball by Design podcast with Paul CAPUTO, good friend and producer of this show. And well, look at us, full circle.
I believe the folks at like Disney call that synergy. I think this way.
Oh my God, we're compared to Disney. Stop. I will say that I love the Flagship City Kitty. I was so excited about it that I bought all this stuff, forgetting that I'm going this year while the Astros are playing. And so I'm going to wear the Stros cap and the Flagship Kitties t-shirt. It's all going to be orange. Nobody will. I'm going to represent.
Well, I have to tell you, look, I'm not saying anything about another team when I say this, but I do feel like when we do some of these things, sometimes I feel like we're playing chess, and other teams may create a logo, but we think about it to the degree where the games that we're playing as the Flagship City Kitties, the Tigers are actually playing 2 hours away in Cleveland. So if you wanted to come down and see a road trip from Detroit, you can catch the Tigers at Cleveland, you can catch the Flagship City Kitties in Erie, and you can make it a weekend, and and gives you a lot of good reasons to do that. So
Yeah.
I don't know that other teams go to that degree when they're scheduling things and planning things, but it's something that we take pride in.
Okay, 3 real quick rapid fire questions. Okay, you're getting to go to a new ballpark. Greg, where do you sit?
Ballpark. Where do I sit? Probably by the home dugout.
Okay.
I do like to wander a little bit because I'm a geek at seeing like things like how far apart trash cans are placed. When you work in a minor league sports stadium, yeah, you do always like to see how people are running the show. But probably near the home dugout.
We're going to start that as a new way to categorize ballparks. Optimum space of trash can spacing. What is your go-to ballpark food?
I'm probably more a soft pretzel guy more than some other things. That's probably where I am. Although a good cheese fry sucks me in every once in a while.
Okay. And then, one of the things you guys do the best, the brands are fine. All that stuff is fine. But it's an amazing experience from top to bottom going to an Erie SeaWolves game. And I mean, we did 2 years in a row out of Austin, Texas, how much I love it. What do you want your first time fan to be feeling when they walk out of the game?
I want them to feel something that makes them talk. Now that may not be the emotion, but I want them to feel like they have to share something that they saw. And that could be something that is, moving to the point of happiness. That could be moving to the point of tears. That could be moving to the point that they don't have their voice anymore because they were yelling so loudly about something. But I want them to want to talk about feeling something deeply. We have on our promotional calendar, and it maps out all the things we're doing, 69 home games, and who's performing the national anthem, the color guard, all that. We actually have a line that says "Wow moment," which is we want to craft something every single game. And some of it is organic, some of it comes to us, like John Oliver shows up at your ballpark, and some other times you have to go out of your way to try to craft it. But every single game, we want to have something that is sort of the peak. And it might not be the same for every person, so there's a little bit of an eye of the beholder thing there. But we want to try to create this thing that like is the talkable moment of every single game. And more times than not, as they're leaving the ballpark, I want them probably be talking about that wow moment. But if something else we did connected with them and they want to share that, we're okay with that too.
I love that answer. And as far as I'm concerned, Greg, you still get to keep your cool dad energy. This is thanks so much for being on Ballpark Nation.
Oh, thanks for having me. Always great.
Ballpark Nation presents Raiders of the Lost Diamond, digging up the lost treasures of baseball's past.
Welcome to Ballpark Nation. I'm your host, Alyssia. On this week's Raiders of the Lost Diamond, Jim revisits the baseball legacy of Erie, Pennsylvania.
I know what you're thinking. This belongs in a museum, but right now, it's going on my wall. Hey everybody, Indiana Jim Christopher here with another edition of Raiders of the Lost Diamond presented by Ballpark Nation. And this week, we are jumping in a plane and we're going to do that dotted line thing all the way to Erie, Pennsylvania, currently home to the Erie SeaWolves, but home to so many iconic baseball teams with an amazing, rich history of baseball. In fact, Erie can track its baseball history all the way back to the early 1900s with teams like the Erie Sailors, the Erie Yankees, the Erie Senators, the Erie Tigers, the Erie Orioles, and the Erie Cardinals. You also have some pretty amazing baseball moments in Erie. Legend has it that Babe Ruth hit a home run so far it left the ballpark, went across the street, and into the smokestack of a building. That was before the three-point line was part of basketball, so he only got 2 points for it. In 1992, weirdly enough, the first ever Miami Marlins game was played in Erie as part of an exhibition. In 1981, you had one of the most epic ejections of all time. Baseball finally returns to Erie in 1981, and Roger Freed gets ejected, and before he leaves, he's not just getting his money's worth with the umpire, he literally steals second base and walks out of the ballpark with it. That's a souvenir that belongs in a museum. Erie was also a hub to a large presence for the Negro Leagues. Now, up until the 1950s, before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, baseball was a segregated sport. Black players played the Negro Leagues, white players played in the major and the affiliated minor leagues. But many cities and towns had both, and Erie was no exception. Legendary Negro teams played neutral site games in Erie, like the Homestead Grays and the Kansas City Monarchs. Erie resident Sam Jethro brought his championship-winning Cleveland Buckeyes play an exhibition. For 20 years, Erie had a minor league team for the Negro Leagues, the Erie Pontiacs, and they played from 1936 to 1956. So from Sailors to Pirates, the seas of baseball in Erie were well traveled, with minor league teams, iconic players coming through in exhibitions, and of course the Negro League presence. And we can't dismiss the Negro League presence, because Negro Leagues really did help keep baseball alive. Segregation is one of the original sins of baseball. Baseball is a sport that I love, clearly. I spend a lot of time talking about it, a lot of time creating content for it. but we can't ignore its flaws. We can't ignore its warts, and segregation is the biggest one of all of those. For a game that we want to be seen as wholesome and family-friendly, for a time, it was wholesome and family-friendly if you were white. And so it's really important for us to continue to explore the history of the Negro Leagues. I love the steps that Major League Baseball has taken to integrate major Negro League records into the Major League records and recognize that there were great players of all shades in baseball. And so before we wrap this episode of Raiders of the Lost Diamond, it's important to remember that anytime you go to a ballpark, if you're going to head out and watch the SeaWolves this season and you see a player standing on a mound, recognize that they're not just standing on a mound, but they're standing on the shoulders of generations of players that came before them. One of the things that I love the most about baseball, one of the things that's the best about this beautiful game, is that the past really does coincide at the same time as the present in a lot of ways. And we really can learn a lot of amazing things about the game and about ourselves by studying its history.
Ballpark Nation presents 5 Tool Territory, 5 good reasons to love baseball's hometown.
And welcome to 5 Tool Territory. We are exploring some really cool things about Erie, Pennsylvania, home of the Erie SeaWolves. Number 1, the Moon Mammoth. Erie is home to the largest and most complete woolly mammoth skeleton ever found in Pennsylvania. Discovered in nearby Northeast Township, it's nicknamed the Moon Mammoth. Now that's some prehistoric power. Number 2, it's got freshwater ocean energy. Presque Isle State Park is a 3,200-acre sandy peninsula stretching into Lake Erie. Beaches, sunbathing, surfing, that's right, surfing, complete with sunsets that look like the Pacific Ocean. Erie feels like a coastal city. Number 3, the War of 1812, or as I like to call it, the American Revolution Part 2. Erie, Pennsylvania was critical to the American victory in the War of 1812, serving as a secret protected shipyard where Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry built the fleet that won the Battle of Lake Erie and helped win the war overall. Number 4, old school amusement park charm. Waldemere Park is one of the oldest amusement parks in the country, founded in 1896. The Ravine Flyer 2 is consistently ranked as one of the best wooden coasters in America. Not that I would know, I am not your roller coaster guy, and I'm certainly not getting on a wooden one. And number 5, Snow Globe Winters. Erie averages over 100 inches of snow per year thanks to lake effect storms. It's basically a winter sports highlight reel from December to March. So there you have it, 5 really cool things about Erie, Pennsylvania, home of your Erie SeaWolves.
Ballpark Nation presents Chasing Grand Slams, our favorite ballparks from across the country and around the world.
Now, believe it or not, boys and girls, but the Pittsburgh Pirates have one of the most iconic histories in the entire game of baseball. A history that, for the most part, was built at Three River Stadium. Now, Three River Stadium was a classic example of a multi-use facility that became out of favor in the 1990s, which meant, at some point, the Pittsburgh Pirates had to move, and if you're gonna move homes, what better place to move to than the amazing, epic, beautiful PNC Park. Now, experiencing the beauty of PNC Park doesn't begin when you park in a large parking lot and then fight your way to the front gate. No, it begins with a walk. A walk across the Roberto Clemente Bridge. No, in fact, it begins with a walk. A walk across the historic Roberto Clemente Bridge, across the shimmering Allegheny River. That is when you begin to see all the beauty that PNC Park has to offer. The architects really wanted you to start getting the energy of the ball game, getting the vibe of the Pittsburgh Pirates history the minute you started to see the park across the water. Now, they say that PNC Park has one of the most photographed backdrops in all of baseball, and I have no way of scientifically confirming this one way or the other, except to say that it's probably one of the most photographed backdrops I've ever taken, because look at it. It is breathtaking. You've got the bridge going over the river, literally bridging the ballpark and downtown, and it's a very underrated downtown skyline. I really did not know what to expect of Pittsburgh. This was my first time to visit, but I completely fell in love with the city, and the ballpark was a big reason for that. There's something so calming about seeing the alternating shades of green in the outfield grass. And there's a wonderful mosaic of the brown dirt around the warning track, the green grass, and the contrasting blue sky. It's just a very peaceful, very settling experience. It's also shaped similarly to a lot of minor league ballparks, where you have a double deck of stands across the foul lines, allowing every single viewpoint, both second deck and first deck, a great view of the field and a great view of that stunning backdrop. All the seats in community areas in the outfield give you a great place to post up and take in the game. Now, I mentioned that the Pittsburgh Pirates are one of the most historically rich teams, and they do a great job of bringing that history into this modern setting. From plaques that honor some of their Hall of Famers, to statues honoring so many of the very important Pittsburgh Pirates that had real impacts on baseball history. Now, one of the things I love about baseball is that it is a sport that lives with one foot in the past and one foot in the future. One of my favorite players of all time is Roberto Clemente, and he is a player that died a few years before I was born. And yet, thanks to my Talkin' Baseball card, I have real love for him as a player, and so it was so cool to see his statue outside the outfield gates. Another epic statue was the one for Honus Wagner that sits out front of the front gate of PNC Park. I'm also going to pat myself on the back for this shot because it's pretty epic considering I did it with a handheld gimbal. Although my favorite statue probably is the random one dedicated to Ralph Kiner's hands. Maybe he was the hand model from Zoolander. Just kidding, I know who he is. PNC Park, above all things, is about having a good time, and the entire ballpark experience is a blast. It's a great ballpark, it's a great city, and they deserve a team, the kind of team that gets to raise the Jolly Roger more often than not. But the fun doesn't have to end when you cross over the Allegheny River. At night, the ballpark lights up the river as you cross the Roberto Clemente Bridge into a haven of bars, pubs, and restaurants. All ballpark hunters need to make this trip, and sure, you might have to take a plane, a train, or an automobile, as long as you remember that the real fun of PNC Park begins with a walk.
Arrr, that does be wrapping up this episode of sorry guys, been yelling, it's been a fun day at the ballpark, and voice gets hoarse, you know how it is. That does wrap up this episode of Ballpark Nation. Thanks so much to the Erie SeaWolves for having us out. We had a blast. We're a couple of guys from Texas shooting this episode, and they made us feel like it was home, which means you should get out to their home to see their players cross home. There's a lot of home. So it does wrap us up, but I have one more joke for you.
Okay.
How does a pirate save a life?
How?
CPR. Hey, Lish, why is pirating so addicting?
Why?
Because once you lose your hand, you get hooked. All right, well, that be wrapping up this episode. I be Jim Christopher.
I be Rivera.
We'll see you at the ballpark or on deck.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the